Hello everyone. I decided to do another search for Cherry. What happened was Petri decided to move, so I went on an 8-hour villager hunt to find Cherry. I will continue the search for Cherry when Ed left next week. This will not be an 8-hour video. I am going to edit it down. After we do the villager hunt, I will tell you the new neighbor's backstory, and I will also be making the new neighbor's yard. Petri wanted to leave, so I decided to start another villager hunt looking for Cherry. I found out that it was 8 hours to do 100 tickets. Let's start the villager hunt. Again, this won't be 8 hours. What took most of the time is going back and forth from islands to island and cleaning up the island, which I didn't show on camera. Also, loading times too took a lot of the 8 hours also. I had one ticket left, and I found one of my favorite Peppy neighbors. I had her as a neighbor on an old Switch Light Island, and she was always great to everyone and always gave great gifts. I didn't want to risk getting a neighbor that I had beef with. My backstory for Allie is that she was shy. She kept to herself, and she remembered stories her grandmom talking about how she wanted to be on a famous radio show, but she never got the chance to. She signed up for the senior class talent show, and the principal wasn't happy that Allie signed up for the talent show. He didn't like her because he thought she was like her brother, but she wasn't. She was quiet. Her brother played a senior prank on the principal. What he did was he put the principal's car up on the roof of the high school. The principal told her no, she's not going to be in the contest. She was devastated. She told her best friend what happened during lunch. She felt someone tap her on the shoulder. It was someone from another table. They said they didn't have a lead vocalist and they're in the talent show, and they heard that she was not allowed to be in the talent show, and they didn't think it was fair that she couldn't be in the talent show. They heard she was going to sing. They don't like the principal either. Every song that the principal just got submitted a song by the band, they told them no. They had to do an original song. Allie asked what happened to the old lead vocalist. They said that he was fired because they found out that he was the son of the principal and he was sabotaging the band by telling his dad to reject every song that they submitted so the band could be embarrassed for the whole school. Allie said, let's stick it to the principal. She has a few songs that she wrote. She wrote a song about her favorite artist who was shunned by the music business. Another song that she wrote that she showed the band was about a person who's feeling invisible to others because people assume that the person is stuck up and that she acts like her brother, and how she wants to leave Syracuse for California because she doesn't have a lot of friends and she doesn't fit in to the town. They tried playing the song and something was missing and they couldn't put a finger on it. Allie's father is a crocodile of few words. He said just two words when the founder of the band said, what's missing? As Allie's father grabbed the hammer to fix something, he said two words, Continental organ. The founder said, what? He said, I said what I said, and he turned around and walked away. He's not mean, he just doesn't talk much, and he comes from the old school. So they went to get a continental organ, and he was right. They tried out the song with the continental organ, and it worked. Then they tried a song that the founding member of the band wrote about how they would like to tour after high school and how life is on the road. They played the song twice, and the same thing happened. They couldn't figure out what was missing. Allie's dad walked back into the garage to put the hammer back, and the founding member said, I can't put a finger on it. What's missing? Allie's dad said, fiddle. The founding member says, thanks, sir. He said, yeah. Allie explained to the band that he's really nice, but he comes from a different time and he doesn't talk much. She basically said that her father is old school. They also wanted to do a cover, so they decided to perform a song that Allie's mom used to play a lot when Allie was growing up. The song is about a person being homesick for the West Coast. Allie loved listening to stories that her mom used to tell her about visiting California on summer vacations. She feels like Southern California is her home, and so does Allie. They went to the stage, and the principal said that since you don't have a lead singer, I guess you're going to forfeit the competition. And you have to go out there and tell everybody that you have to forfeit while everybody's going to be laughing at you. And the principal had a smug smile on his face. That's when Allie walked out and said, "We're not forfeiting anything. They have a lead singer, me." They sang both songs, and they went into the cover song, which went into the principal's son's time, and the principal wanted to cheat and give his son the victory, so they went wrong, so he couldn't perform. The vice principal found out what the plan was that the principal was going to do. He changed the rules, and now the crowd has to vote on who is the best by sound of applause. Allie and the band won. They asked Allie if she wanted to be in the band full time, and she said sure. After they graduated high school, they all got accepted to the same college in Southern California. They all were studying and still performing together. They moved to Joshua Tree after they released their first album. Everyone in the band bought their own house in Joshua Tree. Allie stayed in her house in Joshua Tree for a month, writing. She filled a whole notebook full of songs. The songs she wrote, some were deep songs about her life growing up in Syracuse. She also wrote a few songs about living in California and how much California feels home to her. She was looking around in her closet one night when she had writer's block, and she found an old poem book that she had when she was in high school, and she wrote a poem about a wild coyote in Big Sur. She adapted the poem into a song where she had the founder read the poem to music, and Allie would sing the lyrics that she wrote. They performed the song on the biggest amphitheater in Southern California. Her dream has always been to sing on the radio show that Allie and her grandmother used to listen to. The founder got a phone call asking if they wanted to play on said radio show. She remembered that Allie said what her dream was, and the founder of the band said, "Yes, we want to perform on your show." She told Allie what happened, and Allie was very, very happy. On the radio show, they did an original song that they wrote, the one about the coyote in Big Sur, and they did a cover of a song that her mom used to play a lot when Allie was younger. It was more of a psychedelic rock kind of song. Of course, they didn't get permission to clear it with the radio show, but Allie and her friends have always been rebels ever since high school. They quit recording. Allie left because she had hearing problems. She heard about the Nook's Deserted Island Getaway package, and she wanted to find a place where she can find some friends that will treat her like family, since she doesn't have a family anymore. The only person left in her family is her brother, and she doesn't talk to him at all. He was never nice to her, ever. Now that Allie joined the family on Luna Key, now she feels like she's at home. Before we build Allie's yard, I would like to take a little break and tell you about the continental organ that I mentioned in Allie's backstory. It was invented in 1962 in Dartford, England. It was invented for an alternative to regular organs so musicians can have an organ sound on tour with them. A lot of famous bands in the psychedelic rock era of the 1960s used the continental organ. The Doors, the Monkees, and Eric Burton and the Animals, and my personal favorite band, the Sir Douglas Quintet. The continental organ is known for its inverted keys. On a piano, the small keys are black and the long keys are white, while on the continental organ, the small keys are white and the long keys are black. Some popular songs that featured the continental organ were Mendocino by the Sir Douglas Quintet, which came out in 1969, House of the Rising Sun by Eric Burton and the Animals, released in 1964, 96 Tears by Question Mark and the Mysterians, and Love Her Madly by the Doors, which came out in 1971. The continental organ gives the iconic psychedelic rock sound. I grew up listening to a lot of these bands because my mom used to play them a lot. She played a lot of the Sir Douglas Quintet and a lot of the Doors. I think I told you this before, but she also went to the original Woodstock in 1969. So I really like the psychedelic rock style of music. Now let's build Allie's yard. I had a chat with Allie, and Allie wanted to base her yard on Joshua Tree. So that's why I decided to build Allie's yard and base it on Joshua Tree. It's known for its beautiful sunrises. Joshua Tree is a residential, very quiet and they have a lot of local stores. I decided to base her yard on Joshua Tree because in her backstory, she moved from Syracuse to LA, but her and the band was tired of the hustle and bustle of the city, so with their first album sold, they all bought homes in Joshua Tree. Allie loved her time in Joshua Tree. She felt calm there, and it helped her relax. And she wrote some of the band's top songs in Joshua Tree. She even wrote a song about Joshua Tree and how it felt like home to her. There is a residential area called Joshua Tree, and there's also a national park called Joshua Tree. The national park is very beautiful, from what I've heard. The sunrises are beautiful. There are a lot of great places to take photos. Unfortunately, I've never been there before, but my mom once told me that she had an ex-partner and, and she asked her friend and her friend's parents if she could take him there too, and they had a whole lot of extra rooms, so they said sure. He loved to take photos in Joshua Tree, and she told me how beautiful it was. He was from California, wasn't born there. He grew up there, and he moved to where my mom's hometown was. She never told me how they met, though. My mom told me that he loved it in Topanga, too. My mom met him when she was 19 and he was 18. I didn't want to put the sand down on camera because I felt that it would be kind of boring to watch me put sand down on Animal Crossing. So I decided to do that off of camera. I wanted to make a yard that you would have in Joshua Tree. I added a well. I also added some cactuses to her yard. I also added a bathtub with yuzu. I also added a few Zelda items to her yard because I really love Zelda. I chose the corral fence because I thought it had Joshua Tree vibes. I added a smaller table because the regular table that was in Petri's yard would not fit. I also decided to add these stacked turnip barrels. Allie has a friend in Japan that she writes to, and she told her about the barrels and she sent her some. I also added the extra long log sofa outside of the fence because she wanted a place to where she can sit and make friends with her neighbors. She feels that if the log sofa is outside of the yard, that people can come up and sit down with her and make friends with her. And it shows her neighbors that she's easy to get along with and that she's a really nice crocodile. As you can notice, I decided to dress up in the Breath of the Wild style of Link's clothing for this build because when I recorded this, it was the day after the Legend of Zelda's 40th anniversary. So I wanted to pay homage to The Legend of Zelda because that is a game that means a lot to me. Also, so does Animal Crossing. But Zelda was one of my first video games that I had when I got the N64 from my mom. I originally had the gold cartridge of Ocarina of Time, but that one broke, and I don't want to get into why it broke. So my mom replaced it, and I had to get the gray one. I had Breath of the Wild, I had Majora's Mask, and when the GameCube came out, my mom bought me the GameCube for Christmas one year, and she also bought me The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which is one of my favorites also. I love the music to that game. It has a Celtic feel to it. A lot of people didn't like the Toon Link, but I really didn't mind. I thought it was a really fun game to play. And the concept of Hyrule being flooded, I didn't know what I was going to think about it, but when I played the game, I absolutely loved the game. That is one GameCube game I still have, even though I don't have a GameCube anymore. The Wind Waker game has sentimental value to me. I've had Allie as a neighbor before, like I said before, and I'm very happy that I actually found her again. She is one of my favorite alligator neighbors. My absolute favorite is Drago, but Allie is a close second to Drago. I redeemed Pole in one of JoJo Cross's streams. She has a redeem that costs some points to redeem it if you want to have a poll asked for other people, like if you're stuck on something. And I was stuck on who I wanted to give a VIP room to. So I redeemed poll and I asked for who would deserve the hotel room the best. And I put Wardell, Fret, Marlowe, and Sasha. And Sasha won. Sasha is so adorable. I had Sasha as a neighbor before on an old offline island that I lost. Sasha was a great neighbor. Sasha would always give great gifts. I remember once it was before the snow stuck, and Sasha gave my second character a real nice jacket. So I'm glad that Sasha won the poll. I remember that Sasha's house had the dreamy items in it, so I decided to use the dark style of dreamy items because I really like the dark style of dreamy items. I wanted to add some decorations to the VIP room to make it look like a hotel. I added some plants because I remember Sasha always talking about plants and how that plants are really good because they eat up the bad air and burp out the good air. So I decided to give Sasha some plants on the walls in the hotel room. I added Anka's photo on the wall. I also added some paintings on the wall. The reason why I added Anka's photo on the wall is because I really like Anka and my mom really liked Anka. Anka was on my mom's last ever island, and she said that she always treated her great and always gave her great gifts. And my mom also said that Anka looks like that if you start on her bestie, she's just kind of the person to take her earrings out and say to her bestie, hold my earrings. She said that Anka looks like she's really tough, but she's actually really, really nice. I really like Sasha, so I'm glad that Nintendo added Sasha with the 2.0 update. I don't know if Sasha is a returning villager from an older game or if Sasha is a brand new character from when they added the 2.0 update. Because Animal Crossing New Horizons was my first ever Animal Crossing game. I wanted to build a small little spot. This build is a reference to the 1976 Doctor Who episode, The Mask of Mandragora, which is the fourth Doctor, who was Tom Baker. What this build represents is the TARDIS being locked in a dungeon in a castle, which is what the plot of the episode was. I have been a fan of Doctor Who for a long time, and Doctor Who is one of my comfort shows. I really love the show very much. I have a dream episode that I would have loved to seen, but it would probably never be made. It would be the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, and Amy Pond, Karen Gillan. They are taken to 1947's Los Angeles by the TARDIS, and the TARDIS will not let them go back to regular time until they solve LA's biggest unsolved case in history, in LA history. My favorite modern Doctor is the 11th Doctor, which was Matt Smith, and my favorite Doctor's companion in the modern era is Amy Pond, who was played by Karen Gillan. While my favorite classic Doctor is John Pertwee, my favorite classic companion is Joe Grant. I also like Tom Baker, who he was the longest to play the Doctor in Doctor Who. He played the Doctor from 1974 to 1981, which was 7 years. I was watching some old episodes of my comfort show, and I was thinking, what would be a great collab for Animal Crossing is if they did a collab with Doctor Who. They could add the TARDIS, the Weeping Angels, the Daleks. They could add clothing from all of the classic doctors and some of the modern doctors in Doctor Who. If that ever happened, that would make me very, very happy. Thank you for joining me this week. I would like to thank JoJo Crosses and everybody in JoJo Crosses' stream who helped me decide on who to get a VIP room for. JoJo Crosses is a very nice person. She is very kind and she loves to help out people. I remember that when I lost Nightshade and I got the new island of Luna Key, which I have now currently. When I first got Luna Key, she asked me if I needed anything, and she flew over to my island and dropped off a whole bunch of stuff that I needed so I could get the items built for the first 3 people on the island. Please check out JoJo Crosses. I will link her channel in the description. We will continue the search for Cherry next week. See you later, everybody. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.